Hello, I'm Paul. I live in Brisbane, and I just wanted to share a story which is about recruitment of volunteers and something that worked for me many years ago. So I was running a habitat bush care group in Brisbane in the northern suburbs, and I had a goal, and the goal was to plant hundreds of trees and do some bush regeneration in an area which is near the airport in Brisbane. And so I had the goal of planting hundreds of trees, and the first thing I needed to do was to recruit volunteers, and I didn't know a lot of people in the area, and I had a theory that if I started doing letterbox drops in the surrounding suburbs that I could recruit a lot of people. So what I did was I cleverly designed a communications tool, which was a fancy flyer, and I spent about 3 or 4 afternoons and I letterbox dropped about 3 suburbs. I probably would about 600 or 700 flyers out. And that was about 2 weeks away from the tree planting day that was due. And then on the day, I turned up with all my tools. I had lots of plants ready. I'd spent a couple of weeks preparing the soil and getting rid of all the weeds to make sure the ground was easy for the tree planting. And I got very disheartened when on the day only about 3 people turned up. And I just thought, geez, that was such a big failure. And I was really, really disappointed because my flyer was very well worded, had great graphics on it. And I thought that if people could see the message in my flyer, then that would connect to them and they would have an ethical response, would be to come and help plant trees. And it was in their local backyard, so I thought there would be a reason for them. They could see the results of their work. And I knew there was a lot of young families moving in, so I always thought that, you know, they've got lots of kids and this habitat regeneration will benefit them and their family and give their children something to play with. And they were all the reasons that I thought people would get involved, and none of them took any interest in. Out of the 500 or 600 flyers that I handed out, only 3 people turned up, and it was very disheartening. So I had to think, well, there must be another way to recruit volunteers, and there must be another way to engage people. And I was walking home from work a couple of weeks later, and I walked past a community church, and I was just acting on an instinct, and I walked inside and I found a group of new Australians who are Chinese, and I thought, well, I'm just going to go in and have a chat to them, and I didn't really have a goal at the time. I thought I'm just going to meet some new people, and what dawned on me while I was there was that these new Australians had just moved to a new community, and I thought, well, is it possible that these people would want to maybe connect with locals, and a way of connecting with locals could be to help with my bush regeneration and maybe planting trees. So I had my goal of getting the trees in the ground, but I realised that other people have other reasons to connect to community groups, and this particular Chinese group, they might want to come and meet some locals. So I had a chat to them, and they decided that they would come down and help with the tree planting, and they had no interest in habitat regeneration and they had no interest in planting trees. They just wanted to meet some people and practice their English skills. And I thought, well, they can practice their English skills while they're doing the bush regeneration, and I can get hands and people to help me plant my trees. And once I got that realisation that people don't necessarily join environmental movements or join things like I was doing, like habitat regeneration, for the reasons I want them to join. I was trying to save the planet, and I was trying to create a beautiful environment and trying to restore the landscape, but they were my reasons, and I just thought everyone else would share that same interest, and they didn't. But there's other ways of being creatively of getting people involved. And another example with that same project, I approached a local scout group who weren't particularly interested in planting trees either, but the scouts needed brownie points, and they get brownie points by volunteering. And I thought, well, they can help and they can plant some trees as well. And then I saw some old women or senior women that were living along the park, and I knew they weren't really into tree planting, but they made cups of tea, and I thought, well, maybe. And they love socialising and they love connecting to community groups. And I thought, well, I need food, you know, and I've got to feed the people that are planting trees. So I went and had a chat to them and said, well, would you like to join my bush care group? And they said, well, we're not really the physical age where we're going to dig holes and plant trees. And I said, just make cups of tea. So I had women making cups of tea and giving everyone morning tea, which is a big draw card for bush regeneration. I had a local Chinese community church group who were also not particularly interested in planting trees, but wanted to connect to community groups, and they became interested because they just wanted to learn new English skills and make friends in the neighbourhood. And then I had this scout group who also weren't particularly interested in planting trees, but they needed to get points and credits for their community work as well. So by about second or third planting, I had 150 to 200 people turn up, including Wayne Swan, who volunteered his time, and so many local government members, and we had newspapers come, and we got a really good profile. And the two lessons of that group were that people are going to join in our change programs for different reasons sometimes than what our motivations are. And the second lesson I got from that group was that a group doesn't have to be the same 20 people every week or the same 30 people, and sometimes a group that evolves and has different visitors all the time. So it was hard work in the sense that each time I had a tree planting, I had to go and try and find new groups and find what their motivators were to get them involved. And like I said, often it wasn't planting trees, but for a group that had people that weren't interested in planting trees, I've got thousands of trees planted. So that's my tea and biscuit story. So thank you.